Bills Mafia, what a performance that was from Josh Allen. The guy came out looking like a man on a mission, locked in, confident, and firing darts all over the field. After a few weeks where the offense looked a little off rhythm, this was the version of Josh that everyone in Buffalo has been waiting to see, precise, composed, and in full control of the game. His accuracy was off the charts. Over 92% of his passes were catchable, the best mark among all starting quarterbacks in Week 9. And that's not because he was just dumping off easy screens or checkdowns. No, he was attacking every level of the field. He went 3 for 3 on deep throws, those 20-yard-plus bombs that make defenses panic, racking up 81 yards and a touchdown. On intermediate throws between 10 and 19 yards, he went 4 for 5 for 88 more. The ball placement was beautiful, smooth mechanics, clean release, and every throw had purpose. It felt like everything we've been wanting to see from him finally clicked. You could tell he spent the past few weeks tightening up his fundamentals. After the game, he even mentioned how focused he's been on getting his body aligned properly, making sure his sequencing and delivery were synced up. And it showed. Every throw looked natural, like muscle memory. This wasn't just an athletic quarterback making plays. This was a technician reading defenses, setting his feet, and delivering on time. But even with all that improvement, there's still a little room to grow. You could see a few moments where Josh seemed a bit anxious in the pocket, bailing out early even when the protection was solid. That's part of what his coaches want to clean up, that sense of calm when everything around him starts collapsing. It's like he's 90% back to his best self, but there's still that last 10% where decision-making and pocket management can take another step. The Chiefs' defense, with Steve Spagnuolo calling those pressure looks, really tested him. Third downs, red zone situations, those moments where you know the blitz is coming. That's where Allen's nerves showed a bit. And yeah, everyone remembers that 3rd and 10 screen that blew up. It was a frustrating play, no doubt. But when you look at the snap before, it makes a little more sense. On that 2nd down play, Josh thought he felt pressure that wasn't there, got a bit jumpy, and the whole rhythm of the drive got off balance. So when the screen was called next, it was probably to calm things down, use Kansas City's aggression against them. If linebacker Nick Bolton actually blitzes instead of dropping back, that play probably hits for a big gain. Instead, he read it perfectly, peeled off, and made the stop. Sometimes you tip your cap to the defense. They guessed right. Even with a few of those mistakes, this was one of Josh's most complete games of the year. He took 3 sacks, and yeah, 2 were on him for holding the ball too long or drifting in the pocket. But that's small stuff compared to how in rhythm he was overall. He didn't force bad throws. He worked his progressions, and the timing with his receivers looked sharp. You can feel the trust building again between him and the offense, especially with Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid was electric. The guy was everywhere, running crisp routes, soft hands, finding open space like a veteran. He went over 100 yards receiving, and that's not something you see often from a tight end in Buffalo. In fact, it was the first time in Bills history that they had a 100-yard rusher and a 100-yard receiving tight end in the same game. Josh had a perfect passer rating when targeting him, 158.1. That's insane efficiency. He's caught 27 of 33 targets this season for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can see why he was a first-round pick. What stands out most is how much better the chemistry between Allen and Kincaid has become. Last year, there were flashes, but timing issues and injuries got in the way. Now, it's like they're reading each other's minds. Kincaid isn't just a safety valve. He's a legitimate weapon who forces defenses to adjust. He can line up in the slot, play inline, even split out wide when needed. And every snap he's on the field, he makes the defense think twice. You could argue he should be playing more snaps, but the Bills clearly want to manage his workload, especially since he's still dealing with that oblique injury. They don't want him banging bodies at the line of scrimmage every down. Beyond Josh and Kincaid, the offensive line deserves a ton of credit. This was one of their cleanest performances all season. Allen was pressured on just 13% of his dropbacks, the second lowest rate of any quarterback in Week 9. That's huge. The communication up front was sharp, especially in handling Kansas City's exotic pressure looks. The Chiefs blitzed on over a third of the plays, and Josh still went 10 for 10 for 84 yards against those blitzes. That's how you neutralize an aggressive defense. Protect well, throw quick, stay composed. Play action was another key part of the plan. The Bills used it 8 times and gained 94 yards from it. That's the identity they need to keep leaning into. When Josh is able to sell the fake, it freezes linebackers just enough to open up lanes downfield. And yes, there were plenty of screens, 8 of them, to be exact, and fans always groan when they see them. But there's a method to it. Those screens set up later plays. They keep defenses honest, especially ones like Kansas City that love to bring pressure. When defenders start creeping up expecting another screen, suddenly you've got Shakir slipping behind them on a shallow route for 20 yards. It's like chess. One move sets up the next. Speaking of Shakir, he's becoming a quiet but important part of this offense. Defenses are starting to respect his ability after the catch, which opens space for others. And that's exactly what Buffalo's coaching staff wants, balance. The offense is still run-heavy by design, but when Josh is this efficient through the air, it becomes unpredictable. And that running game continues to be one of the most underrated stories in football right now. The Bills ran 35 times for 141 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. That's 16 rushing touchdowns in 8 games, tying a franchise record that's been standing since 1964. You heard that right, 60 years. The Bills haven't been this balanced in decades. It's wild to think that they could actually make a run at the all-time post-merger record of 33 rushing touchdowns set by the 1976 Steelers. They hit 32 last season, so it's absolutely within reach. James Cook carried the load with 27 attempts, and even though he didn't score this time, he was relentless. The Bills leaned heavily into gap runs, 18 of them, compared to just 9 zone runs, and that suited Cook's style perfectly. The way they used fullback Reggie Gilliam was clever too. Instead of the classic I-formation lead blocks, they had him offset to one side, moving north first and then cutting at an angle. That little change messed with Kansas City's linebackers, freezing them just long enough for Cook to find his lane. And when you mix in motion from tight ends like Quentin Morris or Dawson Knox at the snap, it created organized chaos that the Chiefs struggled to read. The second half got a little messy as Kansas City tightened up their defensive fronts, but overall, the Bills' commitment to the run paid off. This was the first time in over 24 games that the Chiefs allowed a 100-yard rusher. Their linebackers, Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, and Drew Tranquill, are fantastic downhill players, and yet Buffalo still found ways to move the ball on the ground. You could see the creativity in how they attacked. Even when cutback lanes started to close, they kept hammering away, trusting their blockers and staying disciplined. What made it even more impressive was how synchronized the offense looked as a whole. The receivers blocked well on the perimeter, the tight end sealed edges, and the line moved with confidence. That's what good offensive football looks like, every piece working together. And when you combine that with Josh Allen playing efficient, accurate, and confident football, you start to see just how dangerous this team can be when everything clicks. Now let's dive deeper into how this offense operated snap by snap, because there's a lot to unpack about what made this game flow so smoothly. Josh Allen played every single one of the 66 offensive snaps, and that consistency really mattered. The offense never looked disjointed or rushed. You could see that same sense of command in how the team carried itself between plays, confident, calm, and with purpose. James Cook was on the field for 50 of those 66 snaps, which tells you a lot about how much trust the coaching staff has in him now. Against a physical, pressure-oriented defense like Kansas City, that's no small thing. He was asked to do a bit of everything: run inside, block blitzers, release into the flat, and even handle pass protection assignments that would have gone to a veteran back in the past. He handled it all with poise. Ty Johnson spelled him for just 13 snaps, and that contrast in workload is pretty rare. Usually in these types of games, the Bills try to rotate their backs more evenly, but this time they stuck with Cook. That shows how much he's evolved as an every-down back. Ray Davis barely saw the field with 3 snaps, while fullback Reggie Gilliam logged 17. And that's where things get really interesting. The Bills mixed in a good dose of 21 and 22 personnel, those heavier packages with two backs or multiple tight ends, which has become a quiet backbone of their offense. Gilliam has found his rhythm as a lead blocker. It's not just raw power, it's timing, understanding angles, and reading defensive leverage. And let's not forget his contribution on special teams, where he continues to be one of the most dependable players on the roster. At tight end, Dawson Knox played 32 snaps, Jackson Hollister 31, and Dalton Kincaid 23. Those numbers might surprise some fans who want to see Kincaid on the field every play, but there's logic behind it. The staff is being smart about his usage, knowing he's still recovering from that oblique issue. They don't want him constantly lined up in the trenches, banging helmets with defensive ends on every snap. His job is to be the mismatch, to get open, create separation, and give Josh that security blanket over the middle. When he's on the field, he's producing at a ridiculous level. So the idea is to make every snap count rather than wear him down. Then we get to the wide receivers. Keon Coleman led the group with 45 snaps out of 66, a little lighter than his usual workload, but still the focal point outside. Khalil Shakir was right behind him with 40 snaps, Tyrell Shavers with 31, Curtis Samuel with 27, and Elijah Moore with 17. You could see how the Bills rotated them depending on formation and situation. Shavers deserves a lot of credit for his blocking. 2 straight weeks of really solid perimeter work that's helping spring those outside runs and quick passes. On the long 47-yard completion to Kincaid, it was actually Curtis Samuel who made the play possible by running a deep clear-out route that dragged 3 defenders away, opening the middle of the field for Kincaid to work. Elijah Moore also had a few sneaky good routes downfield where he got open but just didn't get the look. You can tell the coaching staff sees it too. It wouldn't be surprising if he gets a bigger role in the next few weeks. And yes, everyone's waiting for Joshua Palmer to return to the rotation, which will make this unit even more versatile. As for the offensive line, what a job they did. All 5 starters played every snap, and that continuity is showing up in the results. They've developed a real chemistry, especially across the interior. Handling Chris Jones and that Kansas City front is no small feat, but the Bills did it with discipline and technique. They used a lot of quick sets to get hands on Jones early, forcing him to play through contact instead of using that explosive first step to disrupt the pocket. On one particular zone read play, the Bills completely fooled him, letting him crash inside while Josh kept the ball and ran right past the spot he vacated. That's the kind of game planning that punishes a freelancing defender. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In what could be one of the most talked about moments of the NFL season, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen reportedly sparked a fiery debate on the sidelines this past Sunday. Sources close to the team suggest that Allen, known for his confidence and aggressive play style, requested to go for it on a crucial 4th down during a tight matchup. However, head coach Sean McDermott allegedly vetoed the decision, leading to what insiders describe as a tense and animated exchange that left fans buzzing. Eyewitnesses claim Allen was visibly frustrated, gesturing emphatically toward the coaching staff while advocating for the play. The sideline, according to reports, was electric with intensity. Teammates and assistants caught between the quarterback's insistence and McDermott's authoritative call. Analysts are now speculating whether this moment signals a deeper shift in Allen's relationship with the coaching staff, or if it was simply the heat of competition in a high-stakes game. The play in question came at a pivotal juncture, and while McDermott ultimately opted for a more conservative approach, the rumor mill suggests that Allen's confidence in his own abilities is growing. Social media erupted shortly after, with fans and commentators weighing in, some praising Allen's boldness, others defending McDermott's strategic restraint. The contrast between a quarterback willing to take risks and a coach focused on discipline has only intensified the ongoing discussion about Buffalo's offensive philosophy. While neither Allen nor McDermott has officially commented on the incident, sources claim the locker room atmosphere after the game was charged with energy and not entirely negative. Veterans reportedly understand the balance between respecting coaching decisions and trusting the instincts of one of the league's top quarterbacks. But as insiders continue to share snippets of the sidelines drama, the narrative around the Bills' leadership dynamic is gaining momentum. With the playoffs looming and championship expectations high, the team faces the delicate challenge of harnessing Allen's fiery leadership without fracturing the disciplined structure McDermott has meticulously built. Rumors like this are exactly what make NFL storylines so captivating. One sideline disagreement can ignite conversations that last for weeks. As the Bills move forward, fans will be watching closely to see whether this sparks a strategic evolution or simply becomes another legendary what-if moment in Josh Allen lore. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.